Okay, so big day for Deebo Samuel news. We got a couple updates today from some insiders. First one's coming from Matthew Berry of NBC Sports. He tweeted out today and said, "My annual late night total rumors at the Combine column will come out next week. But one rumor I heard that may be out of date by the time it gets published is that Deebo Samuel will be traded very soon. Multiple teams are interested in Deebo." And he went on to say that Deebo is going to get traded within the next couple of days. Not released. He's going to get traded, and it's going to happen in the next couple of days. So I'm personally taking this with a grain of salt because, obviously there's so many rumors and reports and insiders that push things out. Matthew Berry is a pretty well-known NFL insider. He's been around for a very long time. And there has been times where he's been right. But, if it's not coming from a guy like Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, for me, it's very hard to believe. Now, obviously, there's some guys tied to the 49ers, like Tim Kawakami and Tony Pauline and some of those guys who have been pretty accurate, on their reporting regarding the 49ers in the past. But I'm not saying Matthew Berry's wrong here. I'm just taking it with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's worth noting that he thinks and that he heard that Deebo will be traded in the next couple of days. But so much stuff could happen between now and the next couple of days, and even between now and tomorrow. And obviously, I mentioned this in one of my more recent videos, but the Combine is like the start of a lot of different rumors and trade talks. It's really like the first point of the season where trade rumors start to spark. And obviously with Deebo Samuel requesting the trade and the 49ers granting that permission, there's going to be rumors and reports out there. But it's pretty interesting. Matthew Berry again saying that Deebo will be traded in the next couple of days and that he will not be released. So if it's true, gear up because it's going to be a wild 48 hours. Obviously, the biggest question mark is what the 49ers are going to be able to get for Deebo Samuel in a trade. But it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens, with the Deebo Samuel situation. And then in other news, Jordan Schultz, Fox NFL insider, who was recently in the headlines for getting into a heated exchange with Ian Rappaport of NFL Network at the Starbucks inside the JW Marriott Indianapolis hotel. I actually worked at that hotel for some time, so I thought it was pretty funny that, and I used to go to that Starbucks every day, so I thought it was pretty funny that they were in the headlines for an argument about a Matthew Stafford report that came out a couple days ago. Either way, Stafford officially today was announced that the Rams and him have agreed to a restructured contract that will keep him in LA with the Rams. So Matthew Stafford's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in the NFC West and play for the Rams. But either way, Jordan Schultz, Fox NFL insider, reported that the Commanders and the Texans have emerged as the most serious contenders for the Niners receiver, showing significant interest. Other teams, that have been brought up within this Deebo Samuel situation, and other teams that have inquired about Deebo Samuel have reportedly been the Steelers and the Broncos. But he's saying that they sit behind Washington and Houston in the sweepstakes as it currently stands. So this is not surprising. Washington Commanders are led by general manager Adam Peters, who was John Lynch's assistant for many years in San Francisco. There's ties there with the Commanders. Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryan's former 49ers defensive coordinator, is in Houston as their head coach. He was also asked about Deebo Samuel at the Combine, and he mentioned that, he's going to be interested in any good player like Deebo. And he didn't say that he was not interested. So I think this is pretty accurate here. It makes sense. I mean, again, Deebo has ties to the Commanders, with Adam Peters. Um, and then, with Houston, he's got D'Amico Ryans and as the head coach there. So, um, not surprising, but I definitely think it's probably safe to say, in my opinion, that Deebo will be traded to one of those four teams. I feel pretty certain about that. I think those are the teams that make the most sense: the Steelers, Broncos, Commanders, and Texans. What the 49ers get for Deebo, again, is the biggest question mark. But it is worth noting that the Commanders and the Texans have emerged as the most serious contenders for Deebo, and are showing the most significant interest. I think one thing, with the Commanders is that, they're coming off of an NFC Championship appearance led by, Jaden Daniels, who was sensational last season. And Washington is projected to have over $80 million in cap space this offseason, which means they're not going to hesitate to spend big money in hopes of, elevating their team to the next level. And Deebo Samuel, he's an ideal complement of their number one receiver in Terry McLaurin. He would add depth to that position, and obviously the potency of him in that passing game. So, and then you look at Houston. This is a pretty fascinating alternative option for Deebo. They're building around C.J. Stroud. They have some wide receiver questions of their own heading into 2025. They traded for Diggs last offseason, and they had a big three of Nico, Tank Dell, and Diggs. And, fast forward, to the 2024 season, going into the year with Nico, Tank, and Diggs. Number one, they all three missed time due to injury last season. Stephon Diggs is set to hit free agency. Tank Dell is probably going to miss extended time with the severity of his leg injury that he suffered late in the season in December. So a trade for Deebo makes sense. It gives Nico Collins a complemented option, beside him. And obviously, it doesn't seem to me that the Texans are pretty set on re-signing Stephon Diggs. So if that's the case, Tank Dell's going to miss extended time. They lose Stephon Diggs, and bam, all of a sudden they need a number 2 wide receiver. Deebo Samuel would be perfect for the Houston Texans. So we will see what happens. The biggest hope is that, the more teams that are involved in the Deebo sweepstakes result in a potential bidding war for the 49ers, and that could turn into profit for the 49ers. And what I mean by that is it could turn into a situation where, the 49ers get maybe a little more than what they were hoping for Deebo in a potential trade. I mean, obviously, when you have multiple teams interested in a certain player, and multiple teams are starting to throw out offers and whatnot, there comes a time where that price tag seemingly will increase. And that's the biggest hope for the 49ers, obviously, if they plan or when they do trade Deebo Samuel. So I still think there's a chance that he's released, but based off of the report from Matthew Berry saying that he's going to be traded in the next couple of days, and then obviously, this report coming from Jordan Schultz that the Commanders and the Texans are the most aggressive suitors for Deebo. It looks like he might be traded now. It looks like the 49ers are probably going to go through and trade him. And John Lynch spoke at the Combine a couple days ago and mentioned that they will grant Deebo Samuel the request of him being traded. So seems like it's probably more likely than not now that the 49ers will be trading Deebo instead of releasing him. But I wouldn't rule out a release, because if the 49ers don't feel as confident, and if they don't feel as if what they're getting in return for Deebo is enough, a release is always an option. And it also spreads out that cap hit over 2 years. So we will see what happens with Deebo, but that is the latest on the Deebo Samuel situation. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Where does Deebo land? What do the 49ers get in return? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.